This is TechVibe, and this is your front row seat to Pittsburgh's technology and innovation ecosystem. I'm Jonathan Kirsting with the Pittsburgh Technology Council and TechVibe. For nearly 30 years now, I've been hanging out with cool folks like Jeff Swartz here, who are building great stuff here in Pittsburgh. As I say, making Pittsburgh tick. I say making Pittsburgh proud. Simple as that. Doing some great stuff with Blink. Great company who I've known for years, and our paths just crossed. I'm like, you got to stop by the podcast. You've got some great skills. You've built some companies. Like, just glad to have you here on the show today, because I think our viewers, our listeners, can learn so much, because I always do. So welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Jonathan.
First off, your background real quick. I always like jumping into so people understand who Jeff is. I mean, you're like an entrepreneur at heart, which I think is so cool. At the Tech Council, we absolutely love it when people like start their own things. And you did that and then joined up with Blink. So give us your background, Jeff.
Yeah, my background's always been in advertising and marketing. So I spent nearly 10 years between Silicon Valley startup, ad agencies, CBS television, moved me to Texas and then up to Pittsburgh. And then, the dream was to run my own ad agency. That's what I wanted to do when I was 20. And then when I was 29, I launched the company called Ethic Advertising. Grew it from like that garage band kind of thing, just like one guy in the corner of his duplex, to a 10-year-long company that we had. I think we had 18 people at our hut as well too, and ended up being acquired by Blink Advertising in September of 2024.
Wow, that's not too. You're coming up on your 1 year anniversary.
1 year anniversary, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's been exciting, and we, with that, I bought back into the company, so I'm a partner with three other great guys.
You're still an entrepreneur.
I'm still an entrepreneur.
Which I think is great. I was first going to ask you, like, wait a second. Now it's like you're working for the man, but you're not. You're still working for yourself, which I think is awesome. Yeah.
No, yeah. I think I might struggle a little bit if I have to not have that like ownership kind of vibe as well too.
100%.
I also own some rental properties as well, so there's just a little bit of that. I mean, making my own money for about 11 years now, and it's been fun. I have a book coming out that's called The Intentional Leap. That's for like newer entrepreneurs as well too.
So a little primer for them.
Like people thinking about getting into it, or people that have been in entrepreneurship for a little bit. Taking my 10, 11 years of experience, saying this is what I would like to know if I was there, but love to educate. I just love that whole aspect. And then the tech side of things, about 3 years ago, I got into ad tech as well too. So we have a brand called QJam, which does DIY hyper-targeted GPS tracking for advertising. So geofence advertising is what you call it, but it basically uses the same satellites you use to get around town to identify that someone's been at a very specific location. And then we serve ads because they were at, another restaurant, because they were at a home improvement store, they were at a concert, something like that.
We got a lot to talk about.
We do, yes.
I always want to start with the entrepreneurial side of things. So first off, you're writing a book. I think that's fantastic. It's great to provide resources to those out there, inspire them. I think there's a lot of people that are kind of thinking about it, but they need that extra push. And to read something from someone who's been there, done that recently. A lot of times people will read books on entrepreneurship from someone who built a big company like 40 years ago. And that's great. Nothing wrong with that. But I think it's a little more relevant when it's like, I'm still kind of actually in the trenches while doing this. And I'm just curious, like, first off, I mean, why was it exciting for you to write a book to kind of help others? What was going on in your mind to say, I really want to do, because you're a busy guy. I mean, it takes time to put a book together.
Yeah. So there's a couple things with that. And it's a great question, but the motivation is I've always wanted to help others. I love working in the medium that I work in, and leveraging the skill sets in advertising and marketing, and being an entrepreneur and a business owner, and what I'm able to do for others both internally and externally, and it's just as part of my passion. So that's kind of the motivation behind it, because I've written an ebook, I've done a lot of thought leadership, I've done guest lectures. And I do that just because I get that runner's high kind of thing afterwards.
Absolutely.
I just get energized.
Yeah, that's how I am. I mean, you kind of get that, it just makes you want to fly.
Yeah. And then the reason now writing the book is we are doing a couple different things. So I'm building up some of the lead funnels that I used to have at Ethic over at Blink. And we're always re-engineering ourselves in trying to push the envelope of like, hey, how do we bring value to people? How do we also, develop new business for ourselves? So it's actually part of a PR push. So by writing a book, I have something to talk about that we can do a PR push. I'm going to be rolling out a podcast that's going to run for 6 months. I've done that in the past as well too. So it's actually part of a marketing strategy for us to just get connected with people as well as
Awesome.
bring value.
I love
So
it.
when I was faced with, okay, well, what kind of book do I want to write about?
Yeah.
I'm like, I could write about advertising, marketing. I could write about the entrepreneurship side of things, but I'm like, I'm 40 years old. I'm still got a lot of tread on tires. Like there's still more. But I'm like, if I was just getting started and I got advice from somebody who got over that first year hump, that 5-year hump, that got started and figured out some things as well too. I'm like, I'm not doing it to try to tell people, hey, everything's rosy and great and everything, because entrepreneurship is a grind. But there's the reality of the things that I learned that I think I can share with someone else that can make their lives better is the motivation behind it, as well as just one main thing that I'm passionate about that I'm going to love talking about and promoting, as well as it's going to help out the company as well too.
I think it's fantastic. And I couldn't, of course, I got to ask you at least, like, what would you say is a key takeaway? Give us a little nibble of the book.
And the goal for it was really, it doesn't matter about your age. It matters about what stage you are in an entrepreneurial journey as well too.
Absolutely.
So, people that are just getting started when they're 55 is totally fine. It's still a new adventure. Somebody that's been, doing their entrepreneurial journey for, 5 years, so 10 years, if they're still stuck, if they feel like they haven't gotten into that next gear, I think that's going to be a good resource for them. But, kind of a little nibble. In the back of the book, I actually have a worksheet that for long-term vision planning. That allows, and I actually took some parts from an author named Gino Wickman who uses the entrepreneur operating system. He wrote a book called Traction. It's my favorite step-by-step how to run a business book. And, I took some of that thinking of long-term vision planning and some of that approach, created my own draft and document for individuals and for businesses that's in there. But I guess one of my biggest tips that I go on about in the book is think long-term, visualize where you want to be. And I always make the association with, okay, if I'm going to go on a vacation, a long road trip, it's going to do me better to know that I'm going to be going to Los Angeles from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and know that going into it so I can actually plan each stop along the way.
Where am I going to get gas?
Where am I going to get gas?
Where am I going to sleep?
Where am I going to sleep?
Absolutely.
If I just get in the car and start going, I could end up in New York City, have a good old time, but then I am in the opposite direction of where I want to end up being.
Right. Now, I'm curious, is there a balance though? I know we always want to have plans, but we don't want to over plan too, right? Okay.
But that's so having a long-term vision and a long-term goal allows you to kind of visualize it, but then you start to break it down. You start to say, okay, well, if I want to be here in 5 years, what needs to be done in 3 years? Okay, so what do I need to do in my first year? And that's where you get more of those action items. Then you break it down by quarter. You can break it down by month, by week, by day, by hour. If you really want to get crazy with it, I wouldn't recommend
That's
that.
a little over planning for me, but hey, if that works for you, by all means.
But as you get a shorter timeline, you get more actionable items, and you are able to actually, take another philosophy I have is called the basket of good ideas. So you think about all these things, and if you think about in 5 years, everything you want to accomplish, everything you want to do that's going to be beneficial for you, it's overwhelming. You're not going to be able to do it. So picture writing on a piece of paper, throwing it into a wicker basket. I don't know why it's wicker. It's just wicker in my mind. And that's your basket of good ideas. So when it's time for you to say, what do I need to do this week, this month, this quarter? You can go to that basket, rummage through it, pick the ones that are the most optimal for you to do.
I like this.
And then you have a short to-do list that's actually action-based. That actually was derived from Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett, there's a story where he got on a plane and his pilot said, hey, if you are looking to buy another plane, I really want this model. I would love it'd be a dream plane to fly. So Warren's like, all right, well, why don't you make a list of all of your bucket lists? So like, what do you want and everything? And this pilot's probably thinking like, Warren Buffett's going to make all my dreams come true. But what ended up happening is after they went to their destination, Warren got off the plane, did whatever he needed to do, got his cherry Coke and everything, got back on the plane, and then talked to the pilot. The pilot had written 50, 60 things on that list.
Okay.
It was huge.
Yeah.
And he said, great, if you try to do all these things at once, you're not going to get any of them done because it's too much. So what are the top 3 or 5 things that you want to accomplish?
Whittle it down.
And that becomes your list.
Very cool.
So that's why I like long-term vision planning, but you have to make it digestible, trackable, doable things that are in a short term. But then you realize these are like making the bricks that are coming together to build the whole house.
I love it. What I think is really interesting is I like what you're pulling from very well-known, successful business persons and entrepreneurs and so forth, and distilling that down to how you've used it and then bring that to the next level. So I think that's fantastic.
Yeah. And I mean, I talk about that in the book, but it's also one of those things where I like to learn. there's something in me that just kind of clicked to where this is fun for me to the business ownership side of things and business in general. So I love to read. At our company, we have a book club. We're reading.
What are you reading in your book club at Blink?
Let Them, Mel Robbins.
Okay.
Is what we're reading right now. For my old company, we did a book club for the last 2 years as well too of reading books. But I love to educate. I love to learn from others as well too. And it took me a little bit of time to realize that anybody can be my mentor in some kind of capacity. I don't have to have somebody like, that's who I want to idolize.
Yeah.
But it's just neat to do it. But I'm also like, they taught us kind of wrong in school. If Jonathan is the smartest guy sitting next to me, let's look at his paper and see what he's working on and figure out how does that applicable for me as well too. And obviously give you credit for it as well.
Please do.
But it's also like, if other people have done it before me, why not learn from them and adopt it and make it my own as well too, as opposed to me just kind of being like making these things up. And as I get older and I have more experiences, I do get lessons and I do get to come up with my own things.
I love the idea of doing a book club at work. I think that's a neat way to make sure that you keep people learning. For someone like me to actually read more, because I had no time, but I was like, wait, gives you a reason, right? But then the idea builds a good culture as well too, because it gets you all kind of thinking about the same thing. And I don't know, it creates conversations you probably would not have otherwise.
It does, yeah. So I mean, this book we're gonna, I think towards the end of August is when we're gonna come together and talk about the book as well too. And we've picked books that are applicable to us in our own lives, whether it's related to advertising or the last one we did was The Energy Bus, which is all about positivity, being on the same bus and going in the same direction,
All right.
which is good. So there's a lot of great knowledge out there for us to be able to say, hey, let's kind of read something together. And right now it's optional, but we have a number of people that are doing it. And it went from reading one book a year to, I think our goal is to maybe do 2 or 3 a year.
That's great. That's fantastic. Let's talk about the tech side of things over here.
Yes.
The geofencing technology to me is mesmerizing. First off, this goes to show you, I mean, everyone knows where you are at all times. It's like, it's kind of scary, but it's kind of cool, because I believe in the world of anonymity is kind of a joke, like whatever. And honestly, like for someone like you, like, what do we have to hide? Nothing. So, and for me, it can be useful because sometimes I really enjoy it if I see something that is of interest to me. And I'm like, wait a sec. I mean, I've already bought things because of that. So I'm one of those where I don't get all weirded out by it. Some people get all, but I'm like, I don't have time for that. Life's too short. But tell me about how you developed this technology. I mean, rumor has you work with a local tech company, Rivers Agile here. That's a council member. And when you told me that, I was like, that is so cool. I love it when someone has an idea and they partner with another company to make that tech come to life. So tell me about this technology and how you developed it.
Yeah, I mean, so shout out to Chris and Ben and the whole team over there at Rivers Agile. They helped us develop it. But, excuse me, the agency that I had built was really focused on hyper-targeted digital advertising across the board, using different tactics, and one of them was geofence advertising. It's been a technology that's been around in some kind of iteration for a decent amount of time. But what we realized is that there was a lot of manual components, a lot of human components for us to take what somebody wants to do, enter it into the system, optimize it, manage it. So we ended up across the board for all advertising, we had minimums in order for us to make enough money that we want.
Surely.
But geofencing, just for whatever reason, we got a lot of people that were interested in that. We were getting a lot of conversations. For a time being, we were getting all leads from geofencing.com. We were just being more and more of a thought leader in the space. And I said for a long time, like the amount of conversations we had specifically about geofencing that people would find us out, our closing ratio was like 2 to 5%. For a variety of reasons. We just weren't the right fit. It might be budget. It might be that they want to use credit card. It might be that they wanted live reporting and all these things, or mainly that they wanted to do it on their own. Some of that stuff we provide. Some of the stuff we didn't provide. And I said, someone would do a really, really good job if they just made this accessible to the local pizza shop.
Totally.
So that's kind of where the idea was born. And I had a really good financial year 1 year, and I kept on looking around and said,
I'm going to invest in this. Yeah.
I realized I kind of looked in the mirror. I was like, I'm that person.
Okay.
So I said, all right, let's go for it. So I interviewed a bunch of different places to help me with the development side of things. but we didn't re-engineer the technology. We're using technology based off of one of our DSP partners that's been in geofencing for a long, long time.
Nothing wrong with that.
What we did is we made it accessible, tapping in their API, and simplified it so anybody can go onto QGM, register for free, create their own geofencing campaign, spend whatever they want to spend. They get live reporting, they can use their credit card, and they get, we have parameters on the back end to help optimize these different things, and we keep it simple. It doesn't have all the bells and whistles, but it puts the control into these smaller marketing
Bring it
firms,
to the people. Yeah, just making it something you can, an actual tool you can use. Because you think about, sometimes some tools are so sophisticated. It's like they say what the average person uses, 20% of what you can actually do in Word for crying out loud. And it's just like, I didn't realize there's more you could do with it. But so it's one of those deals where I love the fact that you're not taking something and reinventing it. You're taking something that you know that works, simplifying it a little bit more, and bringing the main things that a customer wants, give it the flexibility. Addressing the issues you were seeing in the marketplace, and all of a sudden you got this really cool product that you're using. How awesome is that?
And because it can't do everything, sometimes we get questions of like, I wish it could do that.
And maybe it will.
Well, and we've done technological advancements to help out with that, but we've also, said, hey, it can't do that, but our agency can do that. Like if you wanted to do those things. So from a business standpoint, it's actually become a lead generation source for us as well too.
Yeah. Interesting. It's like that little gateway drug into geofencing.
Well, yeah, it is. And for an ad agency, like a consulting or service-based company like ours, productizing something that we can actually make money off of, and we have a dedicated team that works just on QGM now, but also become this lead funnel. It just made a lot of sense, and we've been really enjoying that journey, with the intention that we want to make some of our own technology beyond just this QGM thing. So we have other ideas that are in the pipeline, but we also want to figure out, okay, how do we do that properly? Because I'm an ad guy that happened to get into some tech. So I'm learning some things, but there's a lot of differences and a lot of nuances and a lot of things that you can spend a lot of time and money on and if you're not careful. So that's where I'm learning from a bunch of other people and finding really good partners in the market and outside of the market to help me along.
I just find it really exciting when, you see how much technology is infiltrating everything, and you look at how, from the marketing side of things, the advertising side of things, it's all tech, right? At the end of the day, it is all tech. And I love the fact that you had this, you saw a need, built something, and you're using it. And then now Blink is using it because you're part of Blink, which I think is, you're adding another level to what Blink is now doing, which I think is just so cool.
Yeah. As soon as we were acquired by Blink, Blink became a tech company as well too, which is, it's neat. And even when we are talking, because here's the interesting thing, as an agency, we don't use QGM platform itself, which is like somebody like, well, why don't you use your own platform? Well, we use the technology behind it that has all the levers that we can pull. And we have a dedicated person that is actually on these kind of platforms doing these things. So we're using the tech. We're not using the platform because it is made to be super simple.
You can be more sophisticated because you guys really know what the heck you're doing with this stuff.
Correct. Yeah. And everything. So we are actively using our own kind of technology, but we also want to invest into those things that this could help out another ad agency and can also help us out as well too. So this endeavor into the tech space is something that I feel is extremely valuable to us as a company. And it's something that we want to grow into, and also figure out where the pain points are for people and just solve those problems. That feels like the revenue is nice, the extra income and everything, but being able to solve a problem for people is 100%. So enjoyable.
Isn't that amazing? I think that's so cool. I love hearing that from somebody as well too. I mean, I'm all about making money. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. I don't fault anyone for doing something just because they want to make money out of it. But it becomes extra special to me when someone's like, yeah, we're not just making the money, but we're really helping people solve a problem so they can go make money. Yeah, it's a virtuous circle of some kind. I don't know, but I think it's awesome.
It is. And the other thing with it too is we bootstrapped it. I invested, my own money. We continue to invest, the profits that we have from it as well too. Now we have a little bit of team that's behind it. But one of the things that we're adamant about doing is creating video content and FAQs, and every page that you go on to set up your campaign has a link that says, hey, here's best tips on this page, all these things. So we're trying to help and educate people as well too, because there's a little bit of element of
course.
We just gave the 6-year-old matches to play with. Let's see what they do with it. Because we've seen people just use it like like it's made to go after buildings and small areas. We've seen people that are like, they geofence the whole state, and we've caught that. We're like, hey,
no,
there's cheaper ways to do what you're trying to do and better ways. So,
that's so funny.
but it's an interesting balance of being this small little team within this, small ad agency that is trying to help out these people as well too. But people are up to their own devices, so we try to automate as best we can. But people will still do some weird stuff.
And you can maybe make a special little book on the weird things people do.
I mean, I could. I'd rather make a book on the things to do versus not to do.
Well, it's when you can learn what to do by what not to do, and be entertained at the same time.
Which is funny because years ago, the ebook that I wrote is called 9 Reasons Why Advertising Doesn't Work, which did take that tactic. But with geofencing, I've always had the stream of like the geofencing playbook that I want to create someday.
There you go.
Yeah.
What a fun conversation. I'm so glad that our paths crossed. I think this is a remarkable story. I've always been a fan of Blink since the early days when they were 321 Blink, way back in the days. And to see how they've evolved, I know they were adding companies. When they added you to their portfolio, you get to keep building what you're building here in Pittsburgh. Some great tech that helps our company succeed. Jeff, it's the best, man. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. No, Jonathan, this is great to be on here. I appreciate the conversation. I'm glad our paths have crossed as well, too.
Yeah, so much fun. That's why I love giving our listeners, our viewers, a front row seat to what's happening in Pittsburgh's tech ecosystem, because there's so much. The stories aren't getting told, but now it's up to me. Simple as that. So everyone, thank you so much for listening and being part of this conversation. I hope to see you on the next one.